guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm really excited for today's video. We are going to review the books that I read from May to June, and I'm doing both months combined because I only read 2 books in May. Your girl was slacking, but I have 8 books to talk with you guys about today. I have all of my notes right here in front of me. I have the books pulled up on my Goodreads. Let's get started. First book we're going to talk about is Babel. Babel, I gave a 4 out of 5. This is one of the books that I read in May. So it starts with Robin as a child, and his family has essentially all perished from an illness, and the professor comes in to essentially take him in as an orphan, and he offers to feed him and raise him, give him tutors, and put him through school. So he's like raised through his tutors, teaching him different languages and how like words have roots and how languages borrow from each other. It gives a really awesome language arts lesson within the book. You get to meet 3 other students there that are like his friend group. One of them is Remy. He is the other boy that he lives with, and then there's 2 girls as well. You go through this internal battle of Robin learning things about Babel and how Babel is run through the silver bars. So it's kind of a historical fiction meets fantasy. So you have some fantasy elements with the silver bars that are talked about within the book, and how they like power the city and everything within it, how the city basically runs off of silver and extorts other countries for silver. Then you have the historical fiction where it talks about a lot of real life, or alludes to real life things that have happened in the past. It incorporates struggles like racism, classism, sexism, good notion of prejudice towards the main character and how the main character has feelings towards other people. And then there's like a lack of humanity as well that he has to overcome within learning all of the things about Babel. So essentially there is a secret society, the Hermes Society. They are trying to steal resources from Babel to help overthrow Babel because they don't agree with them essentially being like money hungry and power hungry and not sharing their wealth of knowledge and resources and things with the world. It is a fantasy meets historical fiction, and the fantasy portion is those silver bars, which you learn are powered by language, which is why it is so important for Robin to learn language, because that is how all of the bars are powered, and when you know those things you can have that power to power the bars. The ending was really, really sad. I liked it. I did like it, but I was really, really heartbroken by it. And it ended like as if the fight is still ongoing, which I think was a really awesome way to end it. It wasn't as if like, great, we're done. You know, like it really alluded to things are always like an ongoing thing that we need to be chatting about and preventing in the future. And the resistance needs to continue fighting kind of ideology. I really enjoyed it. If you like fantasy, if you like historical fiction, if you just kind of like a really nitty-gritty book, like this book delve into some very nitty-gritty things within like language and like root words. I really did enjoy that part of it as well. So the next book that we're going to chat about is Emily Henry's Great Big Beautiful Life. I love an Emily Henry book. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Emily Henry books are what I call palate cleansers. So they're what I need to essentially get out of a reading slump. They're very easy reads usually. It's not my favorite book by her though, but it is a very good book. Well, I really love Alice, who is the main character. She has amazing character development like with her mom through the book, and it talks about like some of her internal struggles with the like perceptions of what she feels her mom thinks of her and different things. So that was a really beautiful portion of the book. Hayden is this like mysterious, you know, gray cloud, and Alice of course is sunshine. So this is a sunshine gray cloud, you know, like mashup romance book. Hayden and Alice meet because Margaret is this famous celebrity that apparently like just went missing in the later half of her life. She had a lot of tragedy surrounding her, and it was kind of like a mysterious, scandalous family. Paparazzi doesn't necessarily make her out to be the best person. So Margaret is found by Alice, who is one of the writers, and she is coming to her to try to get like her full life story, her memoir, to see what actually happened to Margaret. What is the paparazzi not telling us? Hayden is also another writer, and he is like a big time writer. Like he just won a Pulitzer Prize, and like Alice is a little nervous about having this as her competition. Well, Alice like comes to learn that she found Margaret, but Hayden didn't, and there's some plot twists within the book where you're like learning things and how Their lives are all interconnected and things, and it was really, really good. I loved the story build. I loved the plot twist within it, and how it was kind of two stories happening at once. It was like a double POV essentially. So this was like back in time during Margaret's life and the things that she was dealing with growing up, and then it's also like present day. What is Alice and Hayden, what is their life experience right now, learning these stories, like what are they thinking? They're essentially fighting over who will get to write her book. This is gonna be Alice's big break, but she does have some serious competition with Hayden. So I gave it a 4 out of 5. Like I said, palette cleanser book, super easy book. I just love her books, they're great. Next book that I read was The Inmate by Freida McFadden. I don't think I'm ever reading another Freida McFadden book ever again. I really, 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 really loved The Housekeeper by her. I thought it was a fantastic book. I loved it. Read the second one. I have not read the third one. I thought the second one was basically like the same thing as the first, just like tweaked a little bit, and I didn't love it because it was like, this is the same thing as the first one. I have read a couple other books by her too, but I think The Inmate, I think this is my last book by her. She's just not necessarily my favorite author. This is essentially a story about Brooke, who is a new nurse practitioner, and she's trying to find a job because she just moved back into her childhood home after, I think her parents died in a car accident. Her parents died. Anyways, so she finally gets a job at a maximum security, like men's only prison, and she, like, I don't know, girly, why would you even choose this job? Number one, I'd be moving. But this prison housed her ex-boyfriend from high school that tried to murder her. Nobody knows this. She doesn't like disclose it when she's getting hired or anything. She just like hops in and is like, let's see how long I can ride this train before I see my ex, Shane, who tried to kill me. Brooke, you're not very bright. Huh. What is the Cinderella story line? You're not very pretty and you're not very bright. I'm so glad we had this conversation. That's me to Brooke. Time and time again, like red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. And she's just like, red's my favorite color. Girl, like, why did you take this job? Why did you tell him anything about your life? Why did you like try to help get him out of prison? She successfully helped get him out of prison. Why did you do any of the things that you did, girly? Tim Reese is like the boy next door character within this book. He is now the principal at her son's school. I forgot to mention that. Hang on, backtrack. She has a son by said ex-boyfriend Shane, who tried to kill her, but Shane doesn't know about his son. She doesn't really tell Tim, the principal, she doesn't really tell him any details about her son, and he kind of figures it out all on his own. Puts the pieces together that this is Shane's son, and he's like, girl, why are you bringing him back here? Does he know? Like, this is a little bit cray-cray. Tim Reese is like boy next door, loved her growing up, like hated her being with Shane, like secretly in love with her, all the things. Well, Freida McFadden, I feel like, was doing this with Tim, and he was going a really good place. And then she just kind of like forgot he existed, I think, and then his character development plummeted. He was right about Shane, duh. But like, it almost kind of made it seem like he was somehow involved in being the bad guy too, but then he wasn't. He was actually telling the truth, but then he just kind of like got thrown in the backseat for like the back half of the book. I don't know. I feel like his character was poorly done. Keeps revisiting that day of like everything that happened, and is like going through a lot of struggles internally with it and whatnot. Shane does end up eventually meeting his son after he gets out of the prison, because she retracts her statement from when the attack happened, because she was like, I think I got it wrong, like all this stuff. And essentially Shane takes her back to the farmhouse where he used to live, and she's like, I'm really not comfortable being here, like I almost died in that house, like, you know, whatever. And you're getting a double POV of like real life, what's happening, and then like her memories and like going through the events and of the trauma like that led up to her getting attacked. He gets her in the house, some things go down, he takes her son, and she's like really worried about her son, like through the whole book. I mean, like, does he have like psycho tendencies like his dad? Like, is he gonna be a killer too? Like, how does this work genetically? Like, are you genetically a killer? Like, I don't know. That ends up looping back around at the end, and the way that they ended her son in that book was creepy as hell, number one. And number two, it was like so creepy, it was cheesy. It was like, this is really strange. Like, I don't know. It felt really forced. It felt really awkward. I did not love it. 2.5 out of 5 for me. My next book is Good Dirt by Charmaine Wilkerson. I freaking loved this book. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Like, literally the first thing that I wrote was beautiful story. I literally love this book. Good Dirt is essentially surrounding this Black family that tries to move within this white neighborhood amongst a lot of like racism, white aggression, those kind of things. The family feels, you know, her parents feel like we belong here and we should be able to live and exist, you know, in this place that we love, which was like a waterside house. Her dad is very successful until like this really tragic thing happens when Abby, the main character, when she is a child and her son is shot in a home break-in. And they believed that they were targeted because they were the only Black family within the neighborhood. It was a beautiful story about Abby, essentially like present day, and then kind of what she was going through within the moments of the attack, what she remembers, like memories about her brother that has been shot and killed, and kind of the back and forth of that. And Abby is really struggling in this book. She's struggling because of everything that has happened to her family. Her dad kind of like hermits after the attack and he's struggling a lot, and her mother is struggling a lot, and it's just like they're both very, very worrisome people, obviously. Like, who wouldn't be after a tragedy and like somebody coming into your home and like violating your space? She is about to get married to Henry, who is a white man, and there is some riffraff between, you know, like, should you be marrying a white man? And like there's some family prejudice within there as well on Henry's side, and she's like there on her wedding day and Henry doesn't show, and it's kind of like public humiliation round 2 for her, because she was obviously in the media and everything because she saw her brother die and there was the home invasion. Like, the public eye is going after Abby again, and they're like, is she a black cloud? Bad things keep happening to her. And I was begging for Abby to get a break this whole book. I was like, girl, like, sending you all the love. Like, I hope you get a break soon. I love that after things with Henry, she was like, you know what, I need to change in scenery. I need to do something that's good for me and like healing for me. So she goes to France with one of her friends, and her friend like owns this little cottage, and she's like keeping it up and kind of like managing the rental people who come through. Lo and behold, she gets there and she's there for a couple of weeks, and guess who shows up with his new boo? Henry. So Henry has this new girlfriend. They're staying in the cottage together, and it's like really awkward for her, and she's just like, I just need to get through and like get through their stay, and then like he's gone and then he'll be gone for good. Well, that did not happen. His girlfriend knew who she was and was trying to get them to get out of there, but he was like feeling a lot of guilt and stuff for running away on their wedding day and all the things, and he was just like trying to like talk to her, make amends, all the things. They ended up chatting, they slept together, and she was like, but I want nothing to do with you. And then Henry and his boo thing broke up too, and she was just like left very sad and everything like that. But she ends up finding another man in France and like has this connection with him. She's reserved, she's got a little bit of like trust issues and different things as well. So it takes a minute, you know, for her. The like main encompassing of this story is about this jar. It is an heirloom that has been passed down from family to family. It was originally made by a slave worker, and when you were a slave, you weren't like taught your letters or how to read and write and those kind of things. Well, there's an inscription on the bottom of the jar, which was very, very risky to do at that point in time as a slave, because it could have gotten you killed if somebody knew that you knew your letters, could write, you know, whatever. So you have this story of all of this tragedy that is going with Abby, between her brother Henry times 2, all of that. But then you have this history of this family heirloom, the motive for the family break-in when Abby's brother was killed. Learn the history of the jar and how many lives the jar touched, because the jar was used to pass messages to help freed slaves, and it helped like save a lot of people and gain their freedom and stuff during like slave rebellions and different things, and like people escaping their owners and different situations. Like, so they think that this jar, because it's worth so much money, because it's like a precious like old slavery, you know, time relic, like it's been passed down for generations and generations, they think that was the motive for the break-in. Well, the jar falls and breaks during the break-in, and the people just dip. That was the whole reason they came in. They shot the kid. They kind of freaked out and dipped. So you learn about Abby and how she's managing her life and going through all of these terrible things, but also you're learning the story of this jar and how it's touching so many people and helping so many people, and it's just a beautiful combination story. And eventually, you know, Abby has her, you know, awakening moment, talking about the jar and writing stories about it and stuff, and then like it ends up changing her life. And I loved the ending of the book. It was so beautiful. It was such a well done book, and I was so ready for Abby to get a break. I was like, my girl, sorry sis. Mad Honey by Jodi Picoult. I'm probably butchering that. Picoult. This book had a lot of hate online. It was a little bit controversial because it talks about discrimination to the LGBT community, and a lot of people were like, this is so forced, this is whatever. I thought the story was beautiful. I absolutely loved it. I gave it a 5 out of 5. It was a story about two like high school age teenagers and like how they fell in love with each other. This love story ends in tragedy because main character Lily ends up dying, and her boyfriend Asher is the one that finds her when she's died, and then he's put on trial for murder because people think that he was the one who murdered her because she was an otherwise healthy, you know, high school girl. The story progresses in a way where you're kind of hearing things from the case and like day to day leading up to death of Lily. You're kind of thinking almost as if you're a juror. I love how she wrote this because in your head you're like, did he do it? Did he not do it? Is he telling the truth? Like, you're trying to figure it out as you go, and as more evidence comes up and people come to the witness stand, you learn more and more about Lily and Asher and their love story and how everything went down in the weeks leading up to her death. The title is Mad Honey, so honey is alluding to the bees throughout the whole story. That was beautifully incorporated. I really loved the bee aspect of this book. It gives you like fun little facts about the bees like throughout it, but then it talks about like how bees like work through tragedy and how they can survive in a hive and like the inner workings of a hive, and it's just really beautifully incorporated within the case of Lily's murder throughout the book. And I really love how they did Asher's mom. So Asher's mom was like recently divorced. She has sole custody of Asher. She kind of like started over because her husband was beating her and stuff, and he's like a well-known cardiothoracic surgeon, so he has money and power and different things, and she just was like laying low, trying to keep Asher away from that because she didn't want him to grow up like that or see her like experiencing this kind of abuse or anything. Asher's mother, Olivia, is like going through so many internal struggles herself throughout the whole book because she's hearing everything through the jurors. She's hearing everything from Jordan, who is his lawyer and also her brother, and she is essentially like piecing everything together herself, just as the jurors are and us as readers are. And she is honestly, the author's so real for incorporating this, but she's having second guesses, and she's like, did I not get him away from his father soon enough? Like, am I to blame for his violence? Is he truly like responsible for this? Like, she's having some doubts and stuff. She never outgoingly says like, oh yeah, I think my son killed her, but she is like having doubts like, was this an accident? Does he have anger issues? Like, did I do something wrong? Like, there's a lot of internal struggle that we get with her. I just really liked how she kept the pace of the book going. Like, you were always getting new information, and it just kept it engaging and made it like very enjoyable to read and very easy to read because you just kept wanting to like get into the book, and like every time you put it down you're excited to pick it back up again. I don't know, I just really liked it. Gobbled it up one night, literally put my headphones in and was like, I'm finishing the last little bit of this book, nobody talk to me. Like, I was very excited to finish it. I really enjoyed it. We have 3 more. Is I Who Have Never Known Men. This is a teeny tiny little book. It's like less than 200 pages, things like 160 or 180 or whatever, but it is like the loneliest book I've ever read in my life. I've literally never read anything like it before. It was thought-provoking, and like you're kind of thinking about yourself and your perception of the world and like people around you, and like you think about hierarchy, and I don't know, like it was so much but nothing at the same time. I don't even know how to explain that. So many different things are talked about within the book, but you are left wanting more, and like you have no questions answered by the end of the book. The book is about this like underground cave, like jail style. It's like a big room caged in. It's watched over by guards, but there's 39 women imprisoned in the cage. They don't know how they got there. They have, you know, very little memories of their life before they were in the cage. And they range in age, but they're all women. And the last girl that came in there, they thought, you know, she was probably like prepubescent, maybe like teen years, because she didn't start her period or anything like that. So they were kind of going off of her as well to figure out time, like how long had they been in this prison. The prison was keeping them like on these weird schedules and different things. So like night and day wasn't like their normal circadian rhythm, like are struggling to do like night and day. They're not allowed to really like do anything. They can't touch each other. Their diet is very, very bland, and they like don't have any privacy within the room. Like they pee like and poop in front of each other, like in this toilet that's like in the middle of the room, and the guards are always watching them, and they have these like whips on them, and if they like do something they're not supposed to, the guards will like attack. But it's like a post-apocalyptic like setting, kind of like dystopian. You're basically like getting the POV of the youngest girl that's there, and they eventually escape, and they are navigating like the world outside of the cage that they were in, and like trying to figure out like what's going on. Do other people exist? Like they have no idea where the guards went, and like they didn't have any personal items there or anything, so they're just kind of like lost. Very thought-provoking book though. I became my entire personality for a couple days after, and I journaled about it a lot, and was just like, it was a mind-blowing book. I gave it a 4 out of 5 because like you know that you're not going to get answers, but like I was a little frustrated because you really like didn't get any answers. Like I didn't realize it was at the end when I got to the end, and I was like, what the hell was that? I think I would read it again, honestly, and I don't do that very often, but I think that would be one I would read again. Watch Me by Tahereh Mafi. I think that's how you say that. So she is the author that wrote the Shatter Me series. I have not read the Shatter Me series, but this is like another series by her that I guess envelops the same characters and things like within the Shatter Me series. I'm not entirely sure. I thought it was like a separate thing, so I was like, oh, I don't have to read Shatter Me to like that whole series to read this book, so I started with it. I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars because I was like, what happened? Like, what actually was the plot? Like, I don't understand what happened. And maybe like part of that is because I haven't read Shatter Me and that series, but like the characters did nothing for me. I feel like there was no character development, and I feel like nothing actually happened. I don't know. So I'll read a snippet of the book description, but it basically says like, the last refuge of the reestablishment. No outsider has breached the authoritarian regime except for James. So James is like this guy that goes into the reestablishment, and like nobody who's gone in has ever left because it's like super high tech, high security, those kind of things. And there's this woman who like they're basically like starving to death. She has a sick sister, like they're withholding things from her, like, but I guess she's kind of like owned by the powers, and she's like ordered to kill this man for like coming in because he's been captured. Rosabelle is like the girl who's supposed to kill him, and she is like very high alert because they like surveillance everything about you. Like you have like monitoring that's done on your brain essentially, where they can like know all of your every thoughts and like know if you're treasonous and different things, but she's like immune to it somehow. Like she didn't take the whatever that makes them able to see all your things and whatnot. Like her body didn't take it, so she like is immune from that. It's described as a pulse-pounding action and torturous romance, and like I think I missed it. Like I think I missed the action, and I think I missed the romance, because like it was supposed to be enemies to lovers, but I don't, like, they were never lovers at the end. Like, there was like a lot of distrust, and he was like, you need to trust me, and it's like, but you tried to kill me and I tried to kill you. I don't know, it was very, I don't know, I didn't love it. Again, what actually happened, I don't even really know. It was like the plot was there, like he was in jail, she was supposed to kill him, didn't kill him, and then like there was the chase to like get him, but then it was like nothing happened after that. Like, that was a 2 out of 5 for me. Last book, we're gonna end with some heat, some spice. My last book was Lights Out by Navessa Allen. Girlies, this book was spicy. I felt very wrong listening to it around my toddler, like even like in my headphones, and she just was like in the same room as me. I was like, oh, this was dirty. She was like in the car. I was like, I cannot play this in the car, because like, what if she says one of the words that they're saying? Like, this is steamy. I really loved like the first half of this book. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars because there was a point where I was like, oh, okay, the book should end here. Like, why do I still have like 200 pages to go? I don't know. The plot kind of felt forced in the second half. The cover literally says couples who slay together stay together. Like, I don't know. Super cheesy. So the back half was also cheesy. This girl named Allie, who is a trauma nurse in the ER, and homegirl's like burnt out. She works all the time. She doesn't do anything. Like, she's got this cat, and that's like her whole personality is like she works and has a cat. Like, that's so real for nurses though, but I digress. She comes across this man on her like social media who is like a masked man, dark, tall, handsome, covered in tattoos, and she's like all about this man. She is like this man's #1 fan. She's commenting on all of his stuff. She's liking all of his stuff, and she's like, hey daddy, like, how you doing? It's really drunk, and after work, like after a really long hard day of work, and sends a message to her hookup buddy, and her hookup buddy's like, girl, you ghosted me for like a month, like I'm past you, whatever. But the text that goes to her hookup buddy, he shows his roommate and is like, look at what this girl just sent me. And come to find out, the roommate is the masked man from her social medias. He stalks her, breaks into her home, and like turns all of her fantasy of like dark tall man like into reality. Like, that's her fantasy, and he's like, I got you, sis. She's at work, and there's this like known grape guy who comes in, and he's like this rich kid whose parents keep like paying him off. He like tries to spook her, and like meanwhile Josh, I forgot to mention, is like this big tech guy, and he's like a big hacker. He can hack into like her work cameras and can watch her. He can hack into her security and like cause a blackout in the neighborhood and different things. Like, he's a tech savvy guy. This guy who's in the hospital and she's treating as a patient like comes to attack her, them trying to give him a scare, and essentially like he gets unalived because of the scare. And then like the book really should have ended there, and then like nothing happened with that dude or anything after that. Like, she had a stalker, like whatever. It was actually a really creepy situation. Like, they should have just like done what normal people do, like send him to the police, or like actually gave the guy a scare, and then the book ended there. I don't know. The back half of the book felt like incredibly cheesy and a little bit, come on, like you two people don't even know each other, you're just like banging it out essentially, and then like you go and cover up a murder together. I don't know, it just felt really weird. Kind of mid plot wise, but the spice, 10 out of 10. Delicious. Josh is like the goofball, so he was refreshing to have within the book because he's like making sarcastic, like dry humor comments and things, and like just so unserious. So I really liked his character. She like kind of was like, oh, red flag, this guy might be a red flag, like this is kind of creepy that he broke into my place, but she's like, but I love it. Thankfully he wasn't actually a serial killer, and they just got to bang it out. Those were the 8 books that I read for the months of May and June. My May reads were Babel, and then The Great Big Beautiful Life, and then the rest of them were my June reads. I think it was a pretty good month of reading. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe so we can hang out again, and I will see you on the next one.